Treaty of Paris. Treaty of Paris of 1898. Commissioners from the United States and Spain met in Paris on October 1, 1898 to produce a treaty that would bring an end to the war after 6 months of hostilities. The American Peace Commission consisted of William R. Day, Senator Cushman K. Davis, Senator William P. Frye, Senator George Gray, and the Honorable Whitelaw Reid. The Spanish Commission was headed by Don Eugenio Montero Reyes, the President of the Senate. Jules Cambon, a French diplomat, also negotiated on Spain's behalf. The American commissioners negotiated in a hostile atmosphere because all Europe, except England, was sympathetic to the Spanish side. Although the conference discussed Cuba and depth questions, the major conflict concerned the situation of the Philippines. Admiral Dewey's victory had come as a great surprise, and it marked the entrance of the United States into the Pacific. Spanish commissioners argued that Manila had surrendered after the armistice, and therefore the Philippines could not be demanded as a war conquest. But they eventually yielded because they had no other choice, and the U.S. ultimately paid Spain $20 million for possession of the Philippines. The island of Puerto Rico and Guam were also placed under American control, and Spain relinquished its claim to Cuba. The treaty was signed on December 10, 1898.
Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation. December 21, 1898, McKinley issues Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation. On December 21, 1898, President McKinley issued Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation, announced in the Philippines on January 4, 1899, which starts the U.S. altruistic mission of acquiring the Philippines. The U.S. have come not as invaders or conquerors, but as a friend to protect the native in their own homes, in their employees, and in their personal religious rights. Moreover, the U.S. wanted to win confidence, respect, and affection of inhabitants of the Philippines by assuring them in possible way to full measure of individuals' rights and liberties, which is heritage of free peoples, and by proving them that the mission of the United States is one of benevolent assimilation, substituting the mild sway of justice and the right of arbitrary rule.
Philippine-American War.
The Philippine-American War, the Filipino-American War, modern Filipino, digmaang Pilipino-Amerikano, previously referred to as the Philippine Insurrection or the Tagalog Insurgency by the United States, was an armed conflict between the First Philippine Republic and the United States that lasted from February 4, 1899 to July 2, 1902. The conflict arose in 1898 when the United States, rather than acknowledging the Philippine Declaration of Independence, annexed the Philippines under the Treaty of Paris at the conclusion of the Spanish-American War. The war can be seen as a continuation of the modern Philippine struggle for independence that began in 1896 with the Philippine Revolution against Spain and ended in 1946 with the United States ceding sovereignty. Fighting erupted between forces of the United States and those of the Philippine Republic on February 4, 1899. In what became known as the 1899 Battle of Manila. On June 2, 1899, the First Philippine Republic officially declared war against the United States. The Philippine President Emilio Aguinaldo was captured on March 23, 1901, and the war was officially declared ended by the American government on July 2, 1902, with a victory for the United States. However, some Philippine group, some led by veterans of the Katipunan, a Philippine revolutionary society that had launched the revolution against Spain continued to the battle the American forces for several more years.
Among those leaders was Macarius Sakay, a veteran Katipunan member who established the Tagalog Republic in 1902 along Katipunan lines in contrast to Aguinaldo Republic with himself as president. Other groups, including the Muslim Moro peoples of the southern Philippines and quasi-Catholic Pulahan religious movements, continued hostilities in remote areas. The resistance in the Moro-dominated province in the south, called the Moro Rebellion by the Americans, ended with their final defeat at the Battle of Badbagsak on June 15, 1913. The war resulted in at least 200,000 Filipino civilian deaths, mostly due to famine and disease. Some estimates for total civilian dead reach up to 1 million. Atrocities and war crimes were committed during the conflict, including torture, mutilation, and executions. In retaliation for Filipino guerrilla warfare tactics, the U.S. carried out reprisal and scorched earth campaigns and forcibly relocated many civilians to concentration camps where thousands died. The war and subsequent occupation by the U.S. changed the culture of the islands, leading to the rise of Protestantism and disestablishment of the Catholic Church and the introduction of English to the islands as the primary language of government, education, business, and industry. In 1902, the United States Congress passed the Philippine Organic Act, which provided for the creation of the Philippine Assembly with members to be elected by Filipino males. This act was superseded by the 1916 Jones Act, which contained the first formal and official declaration of the United States government commitment to eventually grant independence to the Philippines. The 1934 Tithings-McDuffie Act. The United States eventually granted full Philippines independence in 1946 through the Treaty of Manila.